Good morning and welcome to the first of our 6 LexNet 20th anniversary virtual event webinars. We're very glad you could join us this morning when we're talking about how to speak directly to your recipients using personalized communications without being creepy. Today's webinar was developed based on information and requests that we've received from our customers when we asked which topics you would most likely like to learn more about. And this was by far the most popular response that we received. Where's the line between personalization and maybe stepping over to a little bit of too much information? So today we're going to talk about using personalization effectively, efficiently, and correctly. So let's get started. So you've read the statistics and know that personalized marketing yields results that are much better than non-personalized communications. You've determined that now's the time to incorporate some personalized elements into your campaign. You realize that when adding the recipient's name only to a black and white mailer, you can increase your response from a static black and white mailer by 44%. Color only adds about the same increase. But when you do a color mailer adding the recipient's name, you're jumped to 135% better response rates than the static black and white mailer. However, when you use some database information that you know about your recipients along with full color and name personalization, you'll receive a 500% better response rate than you would with a static black and white mailer. And that's enough to convince any of us that we need to look at personalization. However, as you begin to discuss your ideas, your managers, coworkers, people around you begin to express their concern about recipients' perceptions that you are invading their privacy. You begin to wonder if they're right and how you proceed. Creating personalized communications that generate outstanding results can be done in an appropriate and non-invasive manner. Subtle personalization can generate response without causing alarm for your recipients, and today we're going to show you how. Now before we begin, I want you to take just a moment to answer this question. What information do you know about your customers and your prospects? In some cases, you may feel like you don't have any information, and in other cases, you may have a ton of information about your customers and prospects, but you're just not sure how to use it effectively. Let's look at a couple examples. If you are the annual fund chairperson for a university foundation, you likely know quite a bit about your constituents. You know what their affiliation is to the university, you know their previous giving history, you know whether or not their employer offers a matching program. You may know quite a bit about each particular individual. If you're a retail store manager, you may know which store location your recipient typically shops at. You may know which types of products they normally purchase, and you may even know the total amount they spend with you each year. In other cases, you may not know much at all about your customers and prospects. Your database records may include the name and address and not a lot more than that. For those of you without a lot of information in your database, it is certainly not time to scrap your marketing programs and call it a day. What it might be time for, though, is a boost to your data. There are many different ways to gather additional information about those people in your marketing database, and it's not as hard as you might think. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., we're hosting a webinar on segmentation, which will highlight ways to enhance your database. If you can't make that webinar, don't worry, it's going to be available on demand. And if you want, you could also email me at the address shown on your screen, and I'll send you more information. So for today's presentation, let's just assume that you have the information that you need in your database. Once you've created that database and it has the additional information that you want about your contacts, the question is what to do next. And it's a great question, and honestly, it's a place where most people get stuck. So today we want to walk step by step through creating a personalized campaign to show you how simple and effective it can be. The decision to incorporate personalization into your marketing campaign needs to be viewed as a part of the overall campaign development process. You must absolutely have a clear view of the overall campaign before you can proceed. So ask yourself what your message is. Your campaign has a goal. What is that goal? What action do you want your recipients to take after they read your marketing message? And now, what information do you know about your recipients that you can use to motivate that action? So to illustrate what we're talking about today, let's consider an example. A private high school is launching a large initiative to add 2 new technology classrooms. One element of the marketing campaign is a self-mailer to the high school's alumni. The message is that the technology classrooms will help students be more prepared when they graduate and make the high school an attractive option for students when selecting a school. The action that's desired is for the alumni to send monetary contributions to help with the project. So this is going to seem really simple, but let's just walk through the process. So the goal is to add 2 new technology classrooms. The message is that the technology classrooms will help students, 1, be more prepared when they graduate, and 2, make the high school an attractive option for students when selecting a school. Desired action is for alumni to send monetary contributions to help with our project. And now that you've identified your message and goals, you must next determine what information you have in your database that will encourage the action you've identified. Let's go back for just a moment to our recipient examples. The university graduate may be motivated by the fact that if he makes a donation, his employer, in this case Sprint, will make a 20% match. That could be a great motivator. Even though they don't feel like they individually are donating a large amount of money, the 20% additional donation could help to motivate them to act. The hardware shopper, he may be more likely to visit during a special sale if we tell him that the Antioch location will have a special discount for loyalty card holders. And even if you know only the name and address of your recipient, a realtor, for example, might include a personalized map with driving directions to their real estate open house that they're holding this weekend. And just by including that map, it may entice the family to come and view the home. All successful marketing campaigns share one common strategy. They send the right message to the right recipient at the right time through the right channels. The definition of relevancy. By sending the right message to the right recipient at the right time through the right channel, you will evoke an emotional response that causes the recipient to take the action you're requesting. The reason to incorporate personalization is that not all applicants respond to the same stimulus for action. So just to say it another way, a personalized call to act that subtly and appropriately incorporates relevant and timely information about the recipient to encourage an emotional response will motivate action. The right message that causes me to act may be a slightly different message than causes you to act. Factors that can impact differences in response include age, income, education, geographic location, lifestyle, marital status, the presence of children, and much more. So let's go back to our technology classroom example. We've established our goal, message, and desired action. Now, what information do we know about those in our database, which are our alumni, that will help us to trigger an emotional response to our desired call to action? By segmenting our database into 3 separate groups, it allows us to better understand the motivations and what's going to cause each of those groups to act. First, we may want to segment those alumni that currently have children that are attending our school. Their motivation for action will be different than those others in our database. Second, we may want to segment based on the decade that our recipient graduated from our school. And third, we may want to segment based on household income. And these segmentation groups can overlap, as obviously some of these will. So before we implement this plan, it's very important to put our personalization through the privacy test. Our original concerns were that we did not want to invade the privacy of our recipients and we did not want to cause harm or alarm. So let's consider our technology example. If we vary the copy for those alumni that have children currently attending our school, we need to do it in such a way that it's not alarming. Anytime the information is used based on the presence or ages of children, great care must be taken to protect the privacy of those involved. In many cases, if you're purchasing a list, your list company will require you to submit the marketing piece, whether it be an email or direct mail or social post, that will be used to communicate with those on the list that they're providing to you if they incorporate a children's selection into the list select. However, in this case, we are only going to vary specific words. So instead of saying advanced technology training is a very important part of an education today, we might simply say, we know how important it is for your children to receive advanced technology training as a part of their education. It's a very subtle difference, but by pointing out that it will benefit their children, our alumni who are also parents of children within our school will be more likely to respond. Images and copy that vary based on the decade that the recipient graduated are, again, very subtle and almost a subliminal way of personalizing the marketing communication. We're not only pointing out to them that the piece, or we are not pointing out to them that the piece was created specifically based on their year of graduation. However, the images are going to evoke memories of their time at the school and emotions of wanting to help those who are currently there. They want to be able to do their best to provide the best possible experience to the students that are experiencing what they did. And the ask amount. The ask amount in this example, let's just say that we're going to ask $500 of households with an income of over $100,000. So our ask amount is based on the household income of the recipient. However, we're not going to state that we are selecting that ask amount because we know how much you make in your household. That's not it at all. It's just going to be a suggestion based on a calculation that's done behind the scenes. It's subtle and non-invasive. And in all cases, when you're suggesting an ask amount, also give the user an option to select their own amount, a different amount. You can start with the ask amount that you select. Maybe it's in bold, or maybe it's a little bit larger font. However, give your users other options for sending in different amounts. And let me just jump off task for just a moment and say that on the LexNet website there are several different personalization resources that you may find. They're in our customer zone. I'll show you the web address here in just a moment, but there are case studies, white papers, and industry reports with information about personalization and how it can really impact your marketing campaigns. Now, one area of personalization that we often forget to acknowledge can be a critical differentiator for you, and it's so simple. Ask your target audience, whether it's your customers, your prospects, or your employees. Ask them how they want to interact with you. Do they want to receive information via email? Do they want to receive information via direct mail? What information do they want to receive? Do they want your monthly newsletter? Do they want an e-newsletter, or do they want a printed newsletter? By taking the time to ask your audience how they prefer to interact with you, you gain favor with the customer and increase your interaction rates. But only if you follow through. Asking is simply not enough. You must ask and then act upon their request. And again, I just mentioned that there are several resources available on the LexNet website. This is where you can find them. It's at lexnetcorporation.com/customerresourcecenter.htm. And you can also get to it by going to the lexnetcorporation.com website, clicking on Customer Zone, and then clicking on the link to the Resource Center. Because this is a replay of the webinar and our original webinar wasn't recorded due to technical difficulties, we don't have any Q&A right now. But if you have any questions at all, please feel free to use any of the emails listed on your screen for Christy Bookman, Samantha Arredondo, or Jan Lerner, and we will be very happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you so much for listening to the webinar. Please check out our Resource Center and any of the other webinars recordings that you may be interested in. Thank you.